I call the
Commissioners meeting agenda Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. Two of the commissioners are present with Commissioner Wasback in the parking lot, so we'll hear from you momentarily. First off is public comment. I don't see any public, so I'm going to keep on moving. Second is department heads and elected officials. Doug, do you have anything?
I do, just briefly, and for the minutes. I want to update the commissioners and everyone. Our Chevy transport bus, which we had requested in the capital budget, and the decision was to put some money towards it, but not expend the estimated $125,000 this year. It has had chronic issues and the transmission did fail, and it's in service with an estimated price tag of $5,000. So this is only to say that because we couldn't possibly arrange for and get a new van anyway, we are repairing it, but it absolutely needs to be in the next year's budget. So just making note of that as an important significant capital expense in 2025.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Cheryl, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Bad hair day today, Cheryl? We don't see you.
No, I just had an eye exam.
Oh, okay. So you dilated. Let's see who else. Eli, anything aside, anything do you have?
just going to do now.
Yeah.
All right. As part of my budget, I asked for $6,000 towards a monument to honor the law enforcement that line of duty. And that funding will be offset by funding and donations that we've been obtaining. I just got an email from the Key Monument who is going to be did a very, what do you call it, in-kind donation towards the monument. And the monument's almost ready to be installed. But before we go anywhere further, I want to make sure that I run this by the commissioner to make sure that we agree on the location of it. What we're hoping to do is put this, I'll send this around. What we're hoping to do is that it doesn't look like that star, just that kind of similar to polished marble. What we're looking to put this monument between the two flags as you enter the court. You know, we get the most visibility, and it will have the names of the two officers that have died in the line of duty in Cheshire County, and 52 stars representing the line of duty death in New Hampshire. And we hope that that's where it stays and we don't have to add anything else, but I think that will kind of help that the public will see that, you know, that the sacrifice that law enforcement does and that we honor them as well. So the location, like I said, we're looking to hopefully put it is between the two flags, in between the county building and the courthouse, where people get the most visibility going from either two buildings.
Where the new garden is now.
Where it's by the flags, a little bit over the flags, between the flags, we have both flags on each side. They are basically ready for us to decide whether we want to go that route or we want a different location. And they hope to have this up and ready in the spring.
So you got to pour foundation.
So he needs to, wherever we decide to put it, if we okay with setting it right there, which I think is the most visible and where most law enforcement officers come and get that visibility. He'll put down a foundation, you know, where he will sit that. Where he will sit.
How big is it?
It's I think it's 4 by 4.
4x4.
I have no.
No, it's 2.5 by
Okay.
What does EOW mean?
end of watch.
Oh, end of watch, okay.
And what killed Walker and O'Neill?
Walker was killed by a hatchet. He's the first line of duty, death in New Hampshire. Yeah, an axe. Yeah, he went to domestic in Walpole and, got attacked.
Walpole, that's not possible.
Yeah.
I think it was Sir.
Yeah, got attacked by the husband and then a month after he died of complication.
What about
O'Neill was died responding to an accident, responding to a call in a car accident in the cruiser. And the 52 stars are all the officers, everyone that's died in New Hampshire, the line of duty.
Okay.
The star, it doesn't, star won't look like that, it'll be more like a polished black with an engraving. You just put that there to.
Give the idea.
Give you the idea,
And I'm sorry, I was late. Who's paying for it?
too late. No, you are.
Yeah.
Your penalties for being late.
Yeah.
No, we're actually seeking donations, we're about halfway there. Right now, we're aligning the capital budget to kind of help us get this started and put it in place and then just continue to raise the funds as we go. We are halfway there.
So how much is it, those
Six.
6,000?
So is the idea to put it into the budget and
It is.
do it regardless of whether you raise all of the contributions at the front end?
Right, that's what I'm hoping to.
Or when do you go for the executive committee? Or did you?
Next week.
And so you're gonna start the project next week prior to the budget passing?
Well, it's in the budget. I think there's a line that says 6,000. We already raised 3, so we can actually reduce that to 3. I know you have a line item in there somewhere.
Still have to be the 6.
Yeah, I believe it's in there, but fully offset by donations with the expectation that it will be fully offset, so.
Yeah.
Well, I was just asking, is it conditioned upon contributions, or will we front the cost and hope to make it up through contributions later?
I mean, I guess for all intents and purposes, it was in there.
As a holder,
We got a gross budget in anyway.
yeah.
I mean, certainly, we don't have cash flow issues that we can't front something, like that, but I guess the question is what if we don't get the donations to offset the full cost?
Well, I know that this is kind of a perpetual thing, so the need to continue fundraising will be there, whether it's for the maintenance and care of it, for adding. I wish I never had to do this, but if we ever have to add a star or a name, there's a cost to that. So my goal is to actually continue the fundraising for the maintenance of this monument and for perpetuity.
So
Yeah.
is this about law enforcement officers in the county?
In the two and the
Or
two
anywhere.
listed, are in the county, the stars, it's a state.
So my understanding,
So whose name is gonna go on there?
The two that you see there.
No, I understand that, but going forward, is it, if somebody, if a
Cheshire.
police officer, if Lizzie Borden moves to Peterborough?
If it's a Cheshire County law enforcement
Oh,
officer,
Cheshire
then
County.
the name
because
will go on.
the state has its own, right?
They have its own, and if it's outside of Cheshire County, then a star will be added.
So you're gonna create a capital reserve fund for.
That's what I'm,
now in the future?
that's what the goal is.
Yeah.
If it's a police
So
officer.
the only thing I just wanna mention is that we don't typically start any new expenses until the budget passes. That's the only thing I just want you to make sure you're all aware of, is that that's the only thing that seems to be a bit out of the norm with this, is that we're moving forward with something that's in the 2024.
No, this won't happen until after April, because they have to wait for no,
So,
Okay,
not for what do you call it, the weather to be able to put down a foundation, so it's.
right,
So it will be way after the budget.
okay.
So it doesn't really need to be built until you get your fundraising goal, right?
It's waiting for approval right now for them to start engraving it. It's already a key monument. Like I said, this would have been like a $12,000 monument, but he did it in kind and just gave it that cost. and brought it in to start working, knowing that we're gonna be raising funds.
Who's the stone worker?
It used to be Jay, but now it's Chad,
Oh, Chad.
Yeah.
yeah, he purchased.
Well, it'll hold a lot of names since, the first one died 139 years ago.
Mhm. So hopefully it stays.
Hopefully that's where it stays, but, I think it's, with all the climate that we have out there, just kind of reminder to folks that come to Ford or walk by that, the sacrifices that someone,
And is there room between the new?
it'll probably be just a little bit
Yeah.
off to the front,
It's-
it's right.
You know, the flags are
Yeah.
right there. It will fit, I think it'll fit perfectly right there, actually.
How many names you think of Bill?
Well, that's the only two we wanna add. We don't, well, okay,
Well, how many names will it hold? I mean, that's not illegitimate. I mean,
yeah, no, that right now,
you're gonna try to eclipse 200 years of history ultimately, or more.
no, we won't be here, so they can handle that. The commissioners in 28,000 can deal with that.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, then we're gonna move on.
It's a nice gesture you're doing, thank you.
But you want me copy?
Okay, seeing no other department head, I've asked every department, oh, Kim, sorry, sorry, my bad.
There's no difference.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, this is, actually in conjunction with Doug, we need to do a non-FMLA leave of absence for one of his COs. That, was out with, medical condition, doesn't quite qualify for FMLA. Will return to light duty, but we just need a little bit to bridge her time. You want to comment anything else, Doug?
No, it's a small bridge and she has started light duty this week, so she was just short of a year and has been an excellent officer, and that's all I have to add.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, Commissioner Wasmac,
Aye.
Commissioner England,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark.
And my weekly update for our staffing at EMS, we are currently at, with the people that came into orientation Monday, we are currently at 39, not counting any of the captains or DC or assistant chief. We're at 39, 35 of them are full-time, 4 of them are occasional. We had 7 people in orientation on Monday.
Wow.
Yeah. We have,
When was the last time we had 7 people in orientation at any moment?
it's gonna be,
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met with him, it was nice.
Yeah, it's a great group. It's, there's 2 medics, there's 1 advanced, and there's 4 EMTs.
Mhm.
One of them that we put through the EMT class with the SAMHSA grant money. And then we are pending licensing. We've made job offers and they've all been accepted, with an additional 7 people. 3 of them paramedics, 4 of them EMTs. And we did an interview yesterday with an advanced. We've got an EMT interview today and an EMT interview next week. And if all of that goes, well, we're gonna get these 7, so that'll put us at 46. So we could be at 49.
That's pretty much the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're in good shape. The morale there seems to be good. Chief O sent out a WhatsApp message to everybody yesterday, letting them know that as of right now, we've closed the chief process, but he's gonna stay on interim until the end of April. And so morale seems to be good. I'm spending a little more time out there, just giving people an opportunity to ask questions and
So a quick question, of the, I think, 7 ambulances we have, how many are operational regularly?
I think I think they're all on
On a
a
rotating.
rotating
Yeah.
basis, so that, you know,
Okay.
mileage wise,
Well, at any given time, it's like 5 instead of,
Mhm.
right,
Okay,
right?
Depending on what our staffing.
they're all
They're
operable,
all,
yeah,
Yeah,
you know, yeah,
so it is 7 we have.
that is true.
did one of them hit a deer? Is that the?
That
That's
is
the
the
fly
fly
car.
car.
and it's still sitting up front.
Repaired yet or not?
No,
It's
Apparently it's not
total,
repairable.
it's, yeah,
Really?
yeah,
yeah, it did quite a job. I'm assuming, it appears that the frame was probably torqued the way the deer hit the front quarter panel. So,
yeah,
I got a boost one.
yeah, I know you did, I was following you,
Oh, that's. Yeah.
yeah, well, I was like, maybe about 2 minutes behind, came around the corner and.
Which one survived?
There was,
Well, I didn't hit him in the legs. I almost missed him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
but he was dead,
Well, that's great. I'm glad that, the Cheshire EMS is so popular. People looking, I'll tell you. To have this many people eager to work for the county is unique among EMS agencies all across the state. If
and
not-
it feels really good. I've gotten the people that came into orientation on Monday, with the exception of the one brand new one, have come from obviously other organizations, and 3 of them have reached out to me via email and thanked me, wanted me to thank the whole organization for such a warm welcome, and an organized, thoughtful orientation process.
How nice.
and that's really a lot to do with Mark too.
Mark's done a phenomenal job,
He's-
our DC of clinical
Yeah.
services. He has really organized the orientation program, and I think people are gonna come out of it feeling like they really did get an education and an orientation.
You know, every single one of them wants to do a good job, but virtually everybody needs that guidance and refinement of, you know, taking all their assessment skills and then ultimately putting it into a report. Because that also guides your treatment and your sensitivity to the subtle points of assessment and treatment that
Yeah,
they
and,
have to experience literally within 10 minutes on scene. You know, so,
and it's a week's worth of orientation that they're going through. And then after that, they do some,
Full-time, 40 hours or?
Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
yeah.
Wow.
And
And
then,
one of the individuals is not from the area, so he's been staying up at the well, at least the
Yeah.
first night he's been staying up at he stayed up at the
he
nursing
lives in
home.
Windsor Lofts, and he's gonna be relocating here, but until he gets some paychecks under his belt and figures it all out. So we're housing him during orientation, which he has been so appreciative of.
That's really something. Free?
Yeah.
Yeah. good.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
And we told him like he could go over and grab a meal if he needed to. He's like, this is
well,
amazing.
he's an employee.
Yeah, that's a good, right. No, that's it.
That's what we do.
Yeah,
It feels good. I feel like, I feel like we're starting to turn the corner.
Yeah, it's great.
yeah, with our presence in the city too. And we were there this week, at the fire department, holding the fort while they were out. And then getting a call during that time, going on the call, and then once that was done, they had,
Why were they out? Oh,
they were out on calls.
out of,
They were out on calls and needed our support, so we've been, and that's a semi-regular, 3 to 4 times, maybe in a week that we're doing that. And helping out in some way, and that's okay, that's what we're here for, that's why we had the conversations to ensure that everybody, I mean, if you think about it right now, we have 18 towns. That we have 17 towns in the city of Keene that we have some level of relationship with. When it comes to EMS,
great.
out of how many, 22,
How's our website doing in terms of bestowing these victories and this data for
So-
EMS?
They're still working on putting the actual data up with the vector map, and pointing to how many calls we've done where. But the website is up for now. It's a little bare bones and they still have more work to do, but, Chad Butler has done a great job of getting all the data together.
I had to tell Chad, stop thinking so much. and just get it up. Just,
Yeah, we need
and
it
then
up
we'll,
there.
we'll fill in from there and go from there. So I think that's a good thing, but I just think that the bottom line is, like in the city, when they're passing each other, they're waving. And they're,
Right.
and they're talking to each other when they're on sites, whether it's at the hospital or at a scene.
Sure.
And I think at the end of the day, it's more about ground crew understand that you're there to do a job. And do it well, because somebody's in need. And that's what it's about.
It's always inevitable, once you get people together, working together, all of that other process
Yeah,
is forgotten,
I've always figured it, I certainly always hoped that it was just the union administrative rancor and not the frontline staff. Turns out that's true. That they probably
yeah.
don't really need or like all of the acrimony that the union organizers spewed out.
So,
Good, it's great news.
yeah. So, go to scheduled items, master agenda item 1154, presentation of bids for 2022 server upgrades. Rob Hummel will be the individual speaking to this. Action expected to review and approve bids to allow the IT director to initiate the server upgrade. Rob, you are on.
Are you listening to us?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're just-
Rob, you're muted.
You're muted. There you go. Great.
This technology stuff puzzles me. Okay, in last year's budget, money has already been committed for this. There was a line item for paying for the software upgrade for the server operating systems for all the servers in the county. Because of the expected cost of this, we went out for a formal bid, didn't get around to it until December, and received several responses to this, and the bid package is in front of you. The high bid for this was $92,530, down to a low bid of $79,951 from various companies that chose to respond. However, I also did some research into state contracts and found a contract with the state of Massachusetts that was significantly less expensive. It turns out that the state of New Hampshire was able to tag onto that contract and say us too. So the same terms were extended to the state of New Hampshire. And as a county, we're eligible to purchase under the state contract on the same terms as they do. This has the benefit not only of getting the benefit of their negotiating price, but the things that we buy fall into the volume agreement that Microsoft prices things by. So if you buy one of something, it's expensive. If you buy 10,000 of something, they give you a discount price. So we're buying at the maximum discount price that's possible. It's a slightly different program in how the software is delivered, but it's the same product. And in fact, it is the preferable program compared to the new one they have now. And the reason we get that is because it's an existing program and it's kind of grandfathered in and continued, with the result of the same product, same quantities will be available to us for $42,448, a significant savings over not only the low bid, but what we were expecting. When I priced this out originally, I priced the absolute minimum we needed to get by, thinking that we would buy as we needed out of regular budgetary funds. So it's not like I won't need any more of the money in this fund, but significant, we're basically coming in about half price of what was expected. So what I would like from the commissioners is to approve the awarding of the contract to Dell under the state contract for the initial quantities that are specified in the bid, 70 server operating systems and basically 400 client access licenses, which are required to license all of the workstations and other devices that use the network.
So that 84,000 is going down to 45?
Yeah, the original bid that we had, well, I think the original number I budgeted was somewhere around 80,000, and we're going to spend 42,448 of that if we go under the state contract.
So is there a motion to move forward with the bids as stated by, Rob Hummel, Director of IT?
I'll move to accept this.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions for Rob? Seeing none, Commissioner Wasback,
Aye.
Commissioner England,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
All right. You're
Thank you,
good.
gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Yep.
One additional thing, please, before you leave, Ron.
Yes, sir.
For the last 4 or 5 years, I've been attending the quarterly senior staff meetings and the quality assurance meetings here at Maplewood Nursing Home, where we are meeting right now. And one of the things which was mentioned by several of the department heads and some of the nurses is that many of the computers here seem to be very slow, taking 10 or 12 seconds for something to be popping up onto the screen. And the accuracy of the number of seconds certainly is questionable. But they also commented that many of the computers are at least 10 years old. So would it be possible for someone from your staff to be checking them out and repairs or adjustments may be necessary? Or in fact, some of them may have to be replaced sometime down the road?
All right, well, we have, there's an IT person on site at Maplewood, Keith Hultman. And if, like many things, they'll tell their friends, they'll tell you, but they won't tell Keith. Unless they say something to him, he can't address it. We did recently do an upgrade for the computers that are used by the survey people. We did an upgrade on the training laptops and things like that. So we do try to address those things.
Okay.
The computers that are there should all be adequate. And in fact, many of the slowness is related to the application itself, to ECS, for example. But if Keith talks to them, he will look at it immediately.
Okay. I'll get back to Catherine. She will contact Keith, and you may or may not hear more about it. So I thank you very much.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, next up is County Administrator Report, and Don asked Don Bliss to join us this morning for 2 reasons. One, to fill any gaps on the first topic I'm going to talk about that I missed, but also we'll have a non-public to update you on some EMS issues, so, and where things stand there. So to start off with, we did get notification from FEMA this week in reference to the brick grant that we had applied for. It was a no, but it was not a hard no. What they told us is there's certain things that we need to have done before we can apply for a grant like that. So one of the issues is that we need to have a hazard mitigation plan for the county. And so we've already started that conversation. I had a conversation with Todd Horning from Southwest Region Planning Commission, and he and Tim Murphy and myself and Don and Davis will sit down to see what that would look like, what the cost would be for that, so that we can see if we can start working towards that and what the timeline for that would be. They also stated, they also stated that we need to coordinate with Vermont too. They have a hard time looking at giving this level of money if Vermont's not coordinated into giving a portion of the money to help offset the cost on the other side of the river. We applied for 4 million of the 6 million. And so we would look for Vermont to help offset a portion of that too. And it may be that, so
But this is state money, or is this federal through the state?
Don, do you want to address that?
Sure. Just to clarify first, the response came from New Hampshire Homeland Security and Emergency Management because we had submitted a letter of intent, which is the
Yeah.
first step in the process.
Right.
So the funding is federal money. It's the BRIC, Building Resilient and Infrastructure Community, Resilient Infrastructure and Communities grant program. So it's FEMA money that's administered through the state. And the reason that or Cheshire would be applying for this on behalf of Southwestern Fire Mutual Aid is that a nonprofit, although they can gain the benefit of the grant, they can't apply for it. So basically, the county would be administering it on their part. We had reached out to the Vermont membership of Southwestern Mutual Aid to get them to get moving on their side with this, but that hasn't happened, which is a stumbling block. So
Just say that again. What do we need from them?
So we need a simultaneous application by a town or city or county in Vermont to cover the Vermont portion of Southwestern's costs for the sites in Vermont that need to be addressed.
And the
Um,
chief of Putney, Chief Goddard, is willing to step up and be that person.
So can we do that for them in order to expedite the completion of it, so they don't
Yes.
have to do any lifting?
Yes. We just
Yes.
need a signature.
Yeah,
The challenge is, I don't think they found a host government agency to actually submit the grant, even if we write it for them. They have to do what you guys have done, is commit to, yeah, we'll be the host agency for that.
what about Brattleboro Fire?
We're gonna reach out to them too and bring them in this. Now that we know we have a little bit of time, we're going to reach out to them at the same time.
I wonder if the town of Brattleboro would do it.
All right.
I mean, we have a kind of a relationship with Brattleboro Fire.
Right.
Yep, we'll be exploring all those. We'll keep moving on that piece. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's though disappointing, they at least gave us an outline of how we need to move forward. That's fine by me, because we'll pursue those angles and get that work done.
Is it a rolling submission date? So you do it whenever you can.
No, it's the deadline is usually in February of each, so the end of this February. So we have another year to prepare for this. And if we get this lined up, it'll take 6 to 8 months anyway to do the hazard mitigation plan.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, good, yeah.
So
Yeah.
We'll be in good shape when it comes around again.
Yeah.
So what sort of thing is included in a hazard mitigation plan? Kind of
So-
things with-
The main components, they basically create a matrix of what are the natural and technological risks that are most likely to affect the county. So for you folks, it would more likely be, you'd have flooding, certainly in that, winter storms. Even hurricanes would be in that list. But obviously not volcanoes. Earthquakes would be a minor risk. And then based on that, identify those areas of the county that are potentially at greater risk. There might be dams, there might be low-lying flood zone areas, and then strategies for mitigating or addressing those risks before they happen. And then that's a plan that's in place so that communities and the county could get funding later on to, say, a dam repair, or we've got a low-lying area that's prone to flooding, maybe do some mitigation for that.
So didn't we, we have something out there like this that flowed from Yankee nuclear power plant. Cause we used to get scattered money.
Mhm.
And there was some sort of regional plan. Maybe it was too narrowly focused on radiation, but there's still a pile of spent nuclear fuel over there in Vernon. I wonder if there's any of the semblance of that plan, because Arlene would be very familiar with that. I just wonder if there's the structure and the roots of a regional mitigation plan that whose template is already out there that originally flowed from the Yankton Nuclear Power Plant.
Well,
It had that like 60-mile or 40-mile radius.
Well, Southwest Regional Planning Commission used to get some level of funding from Yankee too, so
Yeah.
they would have an idea of this too. So when we meet with Tim, and I'll reach out to Arlene, but when we reach with, when we meet with Tim, I'll bring that up.
You know, because it was pretty robust, because it included everybody. Every ED would be in the cloud of radiation, depending upon the wind direction and so forth, and iodine pills and all that stuff. So, you know, it had a reach and a connection to scads of people.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if there's any of those bones left that could be kind of resuscitated.
So this will be actually a very easy lift for all concerned. First of all, the feds provide the state with funds that then can get distributed to organizations like Southwest Planning to do the plan for you. So there won't be any out of pocket for the county
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Secondly, they'll be able to pull those things together, like you said, that already exist. Also, the state has a hazard mitigation plan that actually lays out the framework that this is built on. And you have a number of municipalities in Cheshire County that have approved plans in place. City of Keene does, several other
Right.
communities that have been written by Southwest. So
Yeah.
well, they already have the basics and the stuff and
Right.
just need to flush it out. It's not going to be difficult.
yeah.
Got it.
So that's where that stands. And before I move on, I know Rob has joined us again because he has a correction to be made. So, Rob?
Thank you. I noticed, Cheryl sent me a query and I went back and looked at the last page from Dell with that quote, and apparently they didn't total the number correctly. The 42,448 is for the server upgrade. That is one capital project. But the other two items, the Windows Server CAL's client access licenses for 923340 and 154840 are not included in that total. There is a separate project with 11,400 in that, which also covers that amount. Those will also need to be purchased at the same time. So the 42,448 is correct for the server, but it left out the other total for the CALs. So I just wanted to make sure that we were approving the full purchase as listed there and not the erroneous total.
Well, we approved the recommended presentation, which was before us, so I don't think the total skewed this one way or the other, right?
Right, and I also, just for record purposes, if you could just send an email to Davis, and then he'll make sure the minutes reflect exactly what you wanted to reflect in the sense of the changes that you just spoke to.
All right,
So
very good.
That 16,000 goes down to 11 anyway, right? So on those two items. So it goes,
Yes.
so you're only talking 53, 54. As opposed to still the, the 84, which is quite all right with me.
Yeah, the CALs came out of a separate project for which there was 11,400 allocated. So they're covered by that, and it's cheaper than estimated.
Yeah, there's still way more budgeted than what this project's coming in, so.
Okay.
All right, I will send that. I'll send that notification.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. All right, moving on, the chamber just wants two things on the chamber Manana Collaborative, which is interesting. I thought this name change was just for Cheshire County. I was in Portsmouth this weekend, and They have a Seacoast Collaborative that used to be the Chamber.
Oh, interesting. Oh, it's a theme, it's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy, just like,
But it all started here.
Once again, we set the stage.
yeah,
It's all right.
And it's a conspiracy with which we can live.
just added on to all the other conspiracies along with Taylor Swift and everything else that's going on in the world today.
Well, I mean, it kind of fits because we're broadcasting this meeting from Japan.
We weren't supposed to say anything.
Okay.
So the gala's coming up March 21st. As always, I want to make sure that you know you're invited. If you'd like to go,
When is it?
the 21st of March,
Oh,
Which
March.
is a Thursday.
which is a Thursday. But I wanted to start giving you a heads up, and we are, as we have in the past, a sponsor to this. And, I also want to tell you that I am the incoming president for the collaborative that's coming in October.
Good for you.
So, be working closely with them. So, just want to see, like as always, I think it's, when you have 400 people in a room, even more sometimes, and you have an hour to an hour and a half where you can, meet and greet with people, I think it's a great thing for the county to do. And I know there's some department heads that have already reached out to me and said that they would love to be part of that too, so.
What time on the 21st?
It is, we have, it's the initial event, the gala itself starts at 5:30, but we are sponsors, so we are invited to come in at 5.
Oh, what does that get us?
Our seats.
It's pretty important.
So,
Okay.
all right,
Still, we're gonna get Zorn.
it is, yeah, and it's a magic theme based on all the magic, the stuff that we did at our conference. Luca took that and so they'll have, like last year, they had this circus theme last year. This year it's a magic theme, and they have speakers and of course the awards and all kinds of heavy appetizers, as you saw last year, and drinks. So,
Okay.
all right,
What time is that on the 21st?
So why would you be the president? Why not have a company, a business? I'm just kind of curious.
well, I've been on the board,
It's his turn.
I've been on the board for 6 years, then I was off for a year, I'm back on, I'm in my second year of the first term. And I think because of all the work that you all have allowed the collaborative to do, through the grants that's been written, through the 250,000, and now this year the match funding, which is going extremely well, with businesses coming in and matching the grant, the monies, which has been impactful.
So we bought a land.
I think we did the right thing, but you can say, coming from Japan, so,
Got it. Okay. It's in my calendar. We'll
yeah, okay. I'm working, I get this US Census sends out this thing, not every year, but this year it's like every 4 years I get this thing about boundaries. So it's.
I nominate Commissioner Engelland to walk the boundaries of the county and make sure the pins are visible.
Yeah.
Is there a second on that?
Yeah, actually, Sky has already done that. She's placed crystals on the corners.
Does she remember where she put them?
I mean, whether he
Geolocated them, I hope.
Quite sure.
Didn't you geolocate them? But there is a statute actually that requires towns to actually walk the boundaries.
Yeah.
It's an old one.
Yeah, but I'll be working with Southwest Regional Planning Commission to see if there's been anything changed. It's usually, from what I understand, it's an easy fill the form out, send it in because nothing's changed.
Well,
But it might be a town that gained some.
you may remember, I think 15 years ago, we actually paid a surveyor to double check the cobble of deeds over the centuries that comprise the county
Mhm,
property in Westmoreland and Chesterfield.
mhm.
And, not necessarily easy to do.
Well, we
You know,
just,
because all of those peach trees since been dead.
Well, and we've picked up pieces of property over the centuries that
yeah,
a little bit here and a little bit there, and I mean, it's a really odd looking thing, but you know,
we did we did this 2.5 years ago now. In Chesterfield, where we own the property there, we have 48 acres. By the end of the mapping of that property, we had 52 acres.
That's because of the GIS.
Mm-hmm,
When you start looking at it from 30,000 feet, you know, you have property lines that goes right in the middle of houses,
mm-hmm,
you know, things like that.
yeah. So, and we can always say that where our boundary goes up to Grafton County and take back Sullivan.
I think we should.
Yeah,
And I'm sure we could pick up part of Vermont, which would make this hazard mitigation plan easier.
oh, that would be great if we could.
Take Vermont back. But, you know, kind of seriously, you know, someday it might be an interesting, experiment to actually try to geoposition a drone to kind of fly over some of our boundaries just to make sure that stuff hasn't been happening that we don't know about, like building a house, logging, that sort of thing. I mean,
Yeah,
Well, you know, because
it
of,
would be the first time that somebody's cut trees on our property we never even knew about.
yeah,
because of the river, and we own to the, you know, the high water mark in Vermont, you know, the meandering of the river.
Right.
We probably lost land in Great Meadows.
Yeah.
You know, places like that.
Which probably means now we own a lot more of Long Island Sound, where all that soil ended up.
all right.
Well, it would be actually kind of curious to kind of see.
Okay, I'm gonna keep on moving. Just like to always get you updates around some other things that I'm involved with. So the Keene Housing, you know, I'm the president of the board there, and the units at Roosevelt School that we're looking at things are going smoothly. We're hoping to,
The brick building on Washington Street.
yeah, it used to
The
be.
brick housing.
Yeah, that's gonna be housing. We're gonna, what's interesting, I don't know if I told you this or not, and I apologize if I didn't. The community college, I always want to say university system, I'm always corrected, the community college system. They did some work to shut off the waters in there and then recap some things because the building wasn't being used. When they did, they didn't cap the water and that went into the furnace. And it ran for like a month and a half before somebody realized it. So there was like 2.5 feet of water in the cellar. And it, you know, it went from one part of the building down into another part. So they had to renovate all that area, which is good because that's an area that we're gonna renovate anyways. We're gonna take down the gym part, the newer part of that building is gonna go away. And then we're gonna build an expansion onto that. That's gonna match the other side and, go from there, so.
Do they get a water?
I
Uh,
was still thinking the same thing.
I have no idea, and I just know that they had a lot of work they had to do, which helps us in the long run. But, that's 30 units right there, and then behind it will be another building that will house another 30, that's 60 units.
And
And,
what's the funding source?
oh, it's all kinds of, it's,
Well, I guess at the end of the day, is it
community
sustainable?
fund, New Hampshire community
What's
fund,
is it a
Oh, yeah.
subsidized
Yeah.
operation?
yes,
So the housing will be for whom and,
elderly disabled,
elderly disabled,
Yeah.
so subsidized housing, so relatively low income.
yeah.
So it's not workforce housing.
Well, it could be, it could be, but right now, I mean, but right now it's earmarked for, that's what I've been told it's earmarked for, but, we'll see, but there's 1,600 people on the wait list, so,
How many units?
Just for the elderly and
yeah,
disabled.
yeah.
How many units is that gonna be? 30?
60 total, 30 in the first wave, and then the second wave, the building behind will have another 30. And we're looking at other properties throughout the region, in Jaffrey and some other places to,
Also,
To
they
build
gotta
up.
move something up later.
yeah.
How many people on the waiting list did you say?
3,000 total, but 1,600 in Cheshire County.
Wow. And where are they now generally? Do you know where these people are situated?
Throughout the region. I
No,
mean,
no, I mean, in what character or setting? Are they living with family or?
yeah, all the, anything that you can say, couch surfing, family, low-grade apartment that they can, homeless shelter, campgrounds out in wherever, it's all the above. You know, a lot of people with developmental disabilities, they're living at home and with parents that are aging out. And that's something I saw all my years of working there. So. Just wanted to give you an update there. I don't know, Jack, you weren't here, but, with if the budget passes and there's money in there to renovate the assisted living that we're taking out of the capital reserves. And what's going to happen is, on the third floor, there's the expansion and the renovation side. On the expansion side, they bumped up, they've started utilizing the third floor for 10 added beds. So they've added to the census another 10 beds.
What do you mean the expansion of assisted living?
No, on the nursing home side,
Okay,
on the nursing home side, there is the renovation.
Yeah.
And then there's the expansion. On the expansion side currently, there is, 10 beds that we're utilizing for more individuals, so our census can go up from 198, 100 to 110. And we've moved the EMS people downstairs into the room where the facility director was going to be, and we're utilizing that office space for them now. And it's all set up and it looks good down there.
so is this gonna be an aid to helping the hospital place people and get them?
I think all the above, because of the, I think Catherine can come in if she has time at some point when her meeting's
I
done.
mean, I know we have other people on the waiting list, but seems as though the hospital's ability to discharge people
Yeah,
is a fairly high priority because it ripples into the EMS side of things. In
yeah,
terms of the interfacility transports.
yeah. No, I don't disagree with it. I think that's what
Well,
the
I
hope
talked
is.
to Sposi, I mean, you've got people sitting in you had 21 people last week, I think. Boarded in the emergency department because there was no beds. And they're just there. And so when you bring people in ambulances, then they have to be in the hallway.
Right,
So I know there's a pretty significant crunch because they don't have any place to move these people to.
correct. And the ripple effect of that is that we're driving farther,
Exactly.
which takes ambulances off, which also means we can't do as many interfacility transfers because we're going to Connecticut, we're going to New York, we're going wherever they can find a room to put individuals. So it's a maddening cycle.
I was passed by one of our ambulances coming back from Lebanon last night around 10:30.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's on that side. On this side, on the renovation side, they'll close off the in between. And if we do the assisted living, we're hoping to do it all at once so that they can do both floors. And they'll move all the individuals up into that area up here so that they'll have their own room,
All the assisted living.
all the assisted living people up there. And then they'll be able to, have the dining area and utilize that. And it should all work out the way they have it factored in. And then we'll be able to get the renovation done, which is probably about a 2-month timeline, is what I'm being told at this point.
What do you do with staffing?
Well, the assisted living, it just doesn't change anything. They're independent. We bring the staff.
Adding.
But on the flip side over here, Sabrina Priest has been the one who is the assistant director of the nursing home, and she's the one that has spearheaded adding this, and they're staffing it, and they feel comfortable with how they're doing it.
I've often wondered, not that we but we're kind of used to agency staff, why we just couldn't hire another army of agency staff to staff the third floor, the new thing that we haven't been able to do. I know that. Why can't we just hire more people?
I think they're doing it at the highest level. I mean, if they can bring in more people, they're bringing in more people.
With that,
I think the problem is that everybody is looking to hire the agency staffing.
but wouldn't that increase the budget substantially?
Well, I mean, I'm just wondering if we're limiting the agency staff and therefore the census because we kind of pulled back on the budget and lowered the census and lowered the payroll and lowered the expenses. I'm just,
Yeah.
I mean, we're used to this lower census. We've had it for quite a few years now. So we've spent all the money on the building, we can't even use it. I mean, well, got a whole floor that's just empty.
Yeah.
That we're paying for.
And we're 2 years away from use of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how we're gonna. I don't know how we're gonna resolve the staffing thing,
Well, what is-
other than buying more.
What is the difference between regular payroll and all of the benefits that go along with that and nurses, the agency nurses?
Well, I might suggest with Cheryl's help that, that there's not a lot of difference between payroll benefits and retirement and agency, but I could be wrong on that. Those might be old figures. There was a time, I think, that agency appeared to be a lot more expensive than having somebody on the payroll, but not sure that that's still true.
I think it is. From the hospital's perspective, I think it is.
Cheryl, is a full-time agency person financially similar to a full-time employee? She probably knows. But I don't know what that break is, but.
Yeah.
No, because it probably isn't that far off, with, insurance and all of the benefits, whole package.
Yeah, we must all in the 60 or 70 bucks an hour for full-time with salary benefits and retirement.
Yeah.
Yes, Cheryl.
Here she is.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Well, I'm just wondering, in today's world, what the delta is between a full-time agency person and a full-time employee with insurance benefits, retirement, and so forth. Is there any equivalency there? Is one greater than the other a lot or equal or?
The agencies are much more expensive. I can get that a little more in detail, but we're paying about, I'd say about $80 an hour for an agency nurse.
80?
Yeah.
And what do you think the equivalent all-in is of a full-time RN or LPN?
Bear with me because my eyes were dilated this morning, so I'm having a really hard time seeing stuff on the computer.
So you might see bigger numbers. Well, I don't necessarily need now, but I'm just, just the long-term impact on census development is gonna become much more critical, and I'm just afraid that the hospitals are gonna be fundamentally the only ones that carry that burden that ripples them through all the rest of it as we drive people to Albany because it's the only place we can find a damn bed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Well, can we pick and choose from, on the waiting list between private pay and what we get reimbursed?
no, well, legally you can't discriminate.
So we can't cherry pick it and,
Well,
because there's more money there.
you can, the whole game in long-term care for decades has been, you can meet the needs of you can meet the needs of a person with money easier than you can a person who's on Medicaid.
Right.
And it's all part of census development. But on the other hand, most people at an admission level or determining level of care needed by a person aren't aware of their payer status. So there is a bit of a filter.
So I just looked at, the salary calculation that I put together. This doesn't necessarily include the increase that we put in if it gets voted to bump up, wages, but, on average, even with retirement, this doesn't include health insurance because you never know if somebody's gonna take it, if they don't take it, if they take a family plan or whatever. So it would bump it up some, but, it's about, I'd say with retirement and, all the other benefits, social security and whatnot, we're paying about $48 an hour.
That just seems low, though. What's the average cost of a single health plan? Isn't it like,
About $10,000, so if I add, let me just add,
$1,000 a month?
that's 50, comes about $53 an hour.
And that includes retirement?
Yeah,
That is,
So, okay, yeah, so,
and you gotta remember, it's like back, we used to pay about $65 an hour for these
right,
agencies, and that's when it wasn't, I mean. And, there was always the value added that, the agencies, aren't our own employees, they don't know our residents as much, but we tend to, some of these agencies have been around for a long time, so they are like our own, but even the hospitals, they're having to, that's how they're surviving as well, is through travelers.
Right, and again, I'll say, and Kim, you may know this better than I, but right now, they're doing everything they can to get people through the door, through agency. They're all, their three houses, all have some level of impact of agencies, staffing in them right now, and.
all of ours.
All of ours, yeah, and so. Yeah, I think they're doing everything they possibly can, and we're getting repeaters, which is good, because then they start to know the system, they start to know the individuals that they're caring for. And that's an example of the care that we're giving in the environment that they work in.
I still think we should start our own agency. And the only difference would be, we could charge the same, but rather than skimming off the profit, we turn it right back. And we use it as our own rebate. So we could equal the pay that other agencies are paying from a separate LLC or a separate 501c3 or whatever.
can we do that as a county agency?
I don't know why not.
How would that, and would it be consistent with what we're currently paying across the boards and all that?
I would think you'd have to make it equivalent in terms of the retail price of agency staff. The difference is you're removing the profit motive.
Mhm.
It's no different than us getting into health insurance, our own health insurance plan. The only difference between what we do and what the commercials do is we're not taking profit or shareholder return.
When we're doing it with community power.
We do it with community power. You eliminate the profit motive. And that then brings your delta down to more like probably 12 or 15% in terms of the wages, which makes it more sustainable in the long run. I mean, if people are racing for the cash and they don't need the benefits, then let's give it to them, but let's find a way on the other side.
Does it also though? Do we have to be competitive with the wage that they're paying the travelers?
Yeah,
So that may bump that 36 or 37 up to 42
Right.
dollars an hour.
Yeah,
Because that's what they're paying travelers. I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but
yeah,
I'm just trying to figure it all out in my head.
you're no worse off.
There is
doing-
rules about the travelers that they have to, live so many miles away from locations in order to be eligible to be a traveler. So it's not like somebody from New Hampshire go be, a traveler and then turn around and go work in one of the local facilities as a traveler.
But is that something that they put on themselves, or is that the Department of Labor, is that, Center for Medicaid Services?
I don't know, but, it doesn't, I mean, it probably would have to make sense even if we wanted to go in that direction, because how do we start differentiating with our own staff to say, why would you wanna be a traveler versus an on-staff employee? Because, I mean,
Benefits of
you
retirement.
hop on the bandwagon just to be the traveler versus the agency versus.
Well, and how do you, well, and the other thing, they pay for their housing,
Well, they give a housing allowance,
right?
Yeah.
So
we get that money anyway.
I understand,
Well,
on some levels we do, not all levels, some find their own housing and choose to do that,
Yeah.
but then. Do you then if I have a nurse on staff, am I paying her mortgage? That's not a traveler? And what's the, I mean, all of a sudden, are we gonna see our nurses go over to our traveler side, which is, I guess, fine? Because of the higher level of benefit there.
Well, you have to do I guess you have to do the cost benefit analysis.
Yeah,
Because, you know, there's no other way. There's no other way to solve the problem. If we continue to think about this in the same way that we've always done it, and we're still there. But I was hiring agency nurses 40+ years ago when I ran the first nursing home.
yeah.
And, but we're not thinking the architecture of staffing
Mhm.
in a limited time. Other people are.
how do we, I mean, obviously this is an idea being thrown out there, but how do we eliminate us only being an agency specifically for Cheshire County Neighborhood Nursing Home?
I'm not suggesting we would only be an agency for Cheshire County Nursing Home. We're gonna be a freestanding agency for anybody. Could be EMS, could be the hospital, could be any nursing home.
And that's-
In other words, we just joined the market as a competitor in whatever corporate setup and legal entity that allows us to do what we want to do. There has to be a mechanism for that.
So county governments can run for-profit businesses.
Sure. And why not? We had it, well, it doesn't have to be a for-profit, it could still be nonprofit, it could be an LLC,
Mhm.
just like Pilot Health used to be.
Yeah,
I mean, first we had employees under Pilot Health, that was a LLC, we had members, all of the members were nonprofits, it's a flow through. But the idea is to create the legal structure of the entity that satisfies the criteria that you need to satisfy. Without losing the ability to benefit from the gains of the entity. Right?
Okay.
This is what Primex does. Under RSA 5B, it's a 5B, but that's how they do that. That's why they do that. We're selling ourselves our own insurance. Just like we do when they kind of set up the self-insurance fund.
prior to working for Monadnock Developmental Services, so I worked in Massachusetts, and we purchased a hotel, a state agency purchased a hotel and ran it with people with disabilities and special needs with their support. Then we bought an ice cream shop that was going out of business. Then we bought a bookstore. And all of a sudden you had this community that was very welcoming to this whole concept of people working with special needs in their community and getting a service for it and getting paid fair wage and.
I'll do a little research on it. I mean, I realize it's not just as easy as hanging up a shingle, and that we have to evaluate the legal and the financial and the tax implications of it, but, you know, if we don't come up with a solution, we're not gonna have one.
No,
So-
It's a good idea.
yeah, and there's gotta be former agency CEOs or others that are out there that could, help us, give us insight of the small details that we wouldn't know going in.
Well, clearly there's a template on how to establish an agency like this. The only question is, what changes do you have to make structurally to either integrate or separate the connection to government?
Yeah, I mean,
That's all you have to do.
doesn't Kate Bosley run, Comfort Keepers? Isn't that in the,
Yeah.
and isn't that sort of a,
Who's Kate?
Kate is a city councilor here in Keene, and she runs Comfort. Last I knew, she ran Comfort's Keeper.
Yeah.
And it's something that, in theory, it's not too far. I mean, they assign people to work with individuals and they get,
Well, but that's just her entity, and
Yeah.
that's either a subchapter S or
Yeah.
corporation or whatever.
right. This is something to think about.
For your information, I do know of one lifelong Cheshire County resident who for at least 20 years was an RN at Cheshire Medical Center, who for the last 3 or 4 years, living in his local home here, has been working for a Massachusetts travel nurse firm, making I think about $25 more, or correction, 25% more per hour. And working in one of the North Central Massachusetts hospitals. And apparently there are 2, 3, or 4 other local folks who are doing the same thing.
Oh, we've had people that left here that have gone in to become a traveler.
Mhm.
So
Still living
there's,
here, yeah.
but that would be, that would maybe somebody, if we were to head down that road, to talk to see what are the benefits, what are some, give us some of the inside thoughts on what we're looking at if we were to go down this road.
I mean, I don't know how else we approach working on a solution to what's going to be a generational staffing issue at the very time when people like Bob and Terry are getting older.
Mhm. Well, and I think we made that clear with the executive committee the other day that, I think there was some level of confusion for some of the executive committee members pertaining to if we're looking to hold on to the members or draw new hold on to the nursing staff that we have or bring in new staff. And I think what they didn't get is it's all the above.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other. And when we get people in, they kept saying, we'll just cut down and make savings on the agency nursing side. No, not for a long time, not probably why I'm here. They won't, because I just don't see it. We have such a long ways to go. We have to open up a 3rd floor. And there's,
We have to figure out how to do that. Granted, we've only had 40 years to figure this out and haven't done a thing meaningful.
And the problem is too, there's a lot of people in nursing school right now. There's a lot of people that getting their LPNs. We need to introduce ourselves to the high schools where they have those individuals looking to go to school, and we need to say, we can pay for your education and see if they'll work here for a year. And that's all you can really ask them to do is can't have them sign a contract. You can just ask them to be here for a year and see if that works and pay a fair competitive wage compared to everybody else.
Anything. It's a paradigm shift that we have to kind of recognize.
Yeah.
We
Well,
cannot
the way to do
simply-
that, Chris, is to loan them the money and forgive it every year they live here. I mean, they work here. Something like that.
Yeah,
And that way, of course, it's gonna incentivize them to stay with us.
yeah. The problem with that is, and that is a great theory, people doing it outright. They're giving them huge bonuses to sign on to go to, and then to come work with them.
And at the end of the day, honestly, as government, I don't necessarily object to that because if we help somebody become a nurse, no matter where they go, they've added to their nursing pool.
Yeah.
And so we don't have that proprietary or isolated interest. We've been creating correctional officers that turn into police officers. We've created LNAs and they work all over the place. And sometimes they come back to us and sometimes they don't. But at that point, we've done our job to increase the workforce in selected occupations, some of which we happen to participate in.
So unilaterally, we'll be extending the free education.
Exactly.
12 to.
Which at some level,
16.
which at some level is what the federal government should be doing.
Yeah, well, they're not going.
Because I don't know how they're gonna take care of each other. There's a lot of people in Congress that will need nursing if they don't already.
I was gonna say, they're already there.
You know, we'll spend $1 million per recruit training a 19-year-old to fly an F-15, F-16. But we won't spend a similar smaller amount of money to train nurses. We don't get a return on that investment financially.
Yeah.
For all of the money we spend on training military recruits.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just my editorial.
Don't disagree. I'm gonna keep on going. New Hampshire Association of Counties, next meeting is February 16th at Primex in Concord. And the executive committee meets at 10 o'clock and the awards committee meets at 11.
Which I'm on again.
Yeah.
I'll be wait till we go.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about this later, but you want me to attend that one?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just since we're talking about those dates, you said Valentine's Day, you will be here still?
I will.
That's when I moved EMS until 2, so that's when
Okay.
we'll be meeting there. I'll send the schedule out again next week
So we'll be meeting at EMS on
on
Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day. Yep,
With chocolates.
exactly.
Yeah, okay. It's been heating up a little bit. Thank you, Terry. I did a little bit of homework and now have Bill Hutweckler working on it too, with the solar conversation. U-Source has reached out to us too and like to have a conversation with us pertaining to solar. They've been doing a lot. U-Source has been helping Merrimack get their 5 megawatt field up off the ground. Bill Hutweckler and I had a conversation. He's reaching out to Pat Putnam, who is building a 5 megawatt field down by the airport.
Well, no, it's not by the airport, so his place is down on Route 10. In between, the trailer park.
Yeah.
and-
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking. Yeah. So,
And they're pretty much all ready to go, but that's sort of different because the town of Swansea, all they get is taxes out of that.
mhm,
They signed a pilot with them,
yeah,
so they're not gonna get any of the power or anything, it's just a. Anyway,
no, I agree.
did you talk to Pat or Mike?
No, I have, Bill was going to, was
Because
going,
they're not related, but
okay,
they're two different,
Putnam's,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think Mike isn't a for-profit.
Mhm.
You see as well?
His organization, the Adnoc Energy, is not profit. And they've already, they just won a $50,000 grant, prize, I guess,
Yeah.
from the federal government to build, at least 2 solar arrays in up to, well, they have a list where they've identified sites, 2 in Roxbury and 1 in Spofford, and the others out of the county.
Yeah,
But they're gonna choose 2 of those in. We're talking to see if we wanted to be partners. You know, because they're gonna go on, there's a second round and a third round where they could be awarded up to $350,000.
that's what, yeah, so like 100 and then 150 or 125 and 150.
And they've already won the 50. Which case we, if we were gonna do that, we would have to write a letter,
Mhm.
outline what it is we wanted to do. Because in order to get this, they have to be pretty much shovel ready.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anyway, great.
So things that start, we're staying on top of that. And that's what I have.
And well, I wanted to ask you a question. Was it last year or the year before? We put aside like 10,000 for blog equipment or something like that? Or
We set aside monies for up at the nursing, up at the Westmoreland campus, we had the second cemetery that was found, and we also had the Antioch Gardens. So we initially set aside, I think it was 15,000, then another 10,000 on top of that, or vice versa. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about, blogs or broadcasting,
Oh, I heard you wrong then. Yeah, $10,000 for,
because I wanted to
Podcast.
utilize that system or whatever it is, for community power. Because it's really starting to heat up. And, we're starting to really gain individuals who are joining us
And that's,
from within the county whose communities already have contracts, mostly in Keene. And, you know, Jaffrey is last night, no, tonight, they're gonna sign up with Standard Power. They're coming in at 10.1 for 2 years, where we're already at 8.1.
mhm.
It's stupid, it's crazy.
I struggle to understand why anybody would get into a long-term power contract, given the recent past and the volatility of pricing.
Well, it's mostly because of personal relationships, you know, because many of the towns already have third-party contracts with several of these companies.
Mhm.
And they already have been working together for a number of years. So it's pretty much, you know, an inside baseball thing anyway. You know?
And we had that, we had it with Freedom.
Sure.
And then until community power was ready to go, until the legislation was corrected so that we could do what we're doing now. So I get it, but I think that they missed an opportunity to hear all conversations. Did they actually have community power come over and do a presentation? I doubt it. I'm not aware of it.
No,
Yeah,
I sent a letter to Jack, I never
yeah,
got. Anyway, when you get a moment to explain it to me, you know,
mhm,
I'd like to be able to.
Yeah.
Utilize that somehow. Month or so.
okay. All right, and that's what I have. I'm gonna keep on going. Is there any old business?
Do we have any thoughts on replacement phones? Yeah,
Dave, so you were gonna reach out to the individual.
US or US.
USLL?
Yep. I already did put in an inquiry. Haven't heard back yet, actually, but.
Okay.
I'll give them a call today, actually. It's been a few days.
What was that?
It's been about a week, actually,
Replacement phones,
Yeah,
Oh.
and the program they have for them.
yeah,
it was either like 5 years old and every other day I wake up and my phone hasn't been charging because.
Oh, no, makes total
jiggled the
sense.
thing just right,
yeah.
so.
No, yeah, we'll get on that and we'll have an answer to you by Friday, how we're moving forward. All right, any other old business? Seeing none, any,
But they're 3-year contracts.
oh, we're 5 years in.
Oh.
Whatever reason, you guys didn't get a switch over at some point, if it is a 3-year, and you're right, it is a 3-year contract. For whatever reason, it didn't get switched over, so it needs to
Because
be
I got
switched
it,
over.
I got it in the last year of the last term, and Rod said, well, you're gonna have to run for reelection. Or
I
you
can switch.
or give the phone up.
I got a new one, probably halfway through my first out of 5 years. So
Mhm.
We're overdue, because they're breaking.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, new business, anything?
just a question, when's the next meeting with the delegation?
The next meeting for the delegation executive committee is on Monday at 9 o'clock at the Department of Corrections.
Okay.
And then there's a meeting on the 12th that would be at County Hall.
Mhm.
And we're thinking if everything goes right, then they can make decisions at that point.
Okay, so it's the DOC on Monday
Mhm.
and County Hall on February 12th.
Correct. Doug, do you have a question? Because I just saw your face.
No, but I did want to ask you a question about the executive committee meeting on Monday, and it can be after the meeting, but if I could get.
I'll
get
follow
on-
up with you.
Yeah.
We all gonna be able to fit into that
That's-
small conference room?
Well, they probably do the big one.
Yeah,
Hey, what room are you using, Doug?
that's probably the question you made.
The big room? Training room?
You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, how many seats do you think we need to set up for? Which was one small question, but I still have another one.
Need 15.
Yeah,
20
you
maybe.
probably about, with everybody in the room, it's probably about 15 to
Yeah.
maybe 20.
I think
Okay,
you need training room.
Cause you've been averaging between 7 and 8 or nine, no, 7 or 8, of which maybe one's on Zoom. And then you've got myself, Cheryl, Misty, Davis, you've got commissioners, and you've got your people.
Okay, so you do want Zoom availability.
Mm-hmm.
You know if Cheryl or anyone asked for that yet to be set up from IT?
No, but we can, I mean, if you guys can have it set up, I can reach out to IT too. It doesn't really matter either way.
No, that's fine. I'll take care of it and I'll set up like a rectangle that will allow people to sit around for approximately 20 seats.
Okay,
Okay,
So it would be helpful, Davis, if the county budget, if the executive committee county, budget meetings could be on one of the calendars.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
okay. And then the delegation, full delegation meeting. Yeah, Base was,
I hate it.
is March 18th. March 18th would be the full delegation at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay,
How are things going generally with that non-eventful executive committee?
I think I think it got a little bit funky on, up here this week, but I think it's more personalities than anything else. I don't think it has to do anything with anything else. I just think people got, maybe people got offended by people, they think they were perceiving somebody laughing at them or something like that.
Oh, but I mean, from a
From a,
corporation point of view.
I think there's been some questions asked, and I know that we've had, some of the delegation ask us to answer some questions offline around certain things, and we're trying to do that as best we can. I think the 12th is going to be, where it's gonna be a very interesting meeting.
That's executive committee only, right?
Yeah, that's just like all the other meetings.
So that's their final.
It's their final meeting. It's also the final presentations, certain departments that haven't gone yet. So,
Okay. All right,
so we'll see how it goes.
I won't be there that big, so I'll be up at Dartmouth.
On the. All right. That'd be important. Consent agenda items, vote to accept the weekly manifest and meeting minutes of January 24th, 2024.
So move.
Commissioner Wasmac,
Aye.
Commissioner England,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Anything aside from what you've already brought up, any changes to the calendar? Any general discussion for commissioners? Seeing none, we have, non-public session to RSA 91A3, matters that discuss and possibly likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board. So motion to go into non-public, and I'd like to have Dawn and Cheryl and Kim stay with us. So move second, so Commissioner Wasmac,
Aye.
Commissioner England,
Aye.
and Commissioner Clark. So motion to adjourn,
I make the motion to adjourn.
second.
okay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wasmac,
Aye.
Commissioner England,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark.
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned.
Bye.
Bye.